Jay with the Douchebag Brigade, and this is going to be video 3 of the Threefer. That's right, the Threefer. Probably never heard of that before, neither have I. So, I am going to be discussing a game that is scrutinized and typically considered not to be one of the better games in the franchise. That's definitely not by my standing. I'm going to be discussing Persona 1, or Persona PSP, Persona Revelations, I guess the Japanese version, since we don't have an American version with this quest. And really, it's one of the coolest things that I think I've seen in a Persona game, based on a story. Now, one thing that Persona 1 typically gets flack for is the combat, which in my opinion is fantastic, though most would disagree. And also the overall style of the game, which also a lot of people don't care for. It's very SMT-if, Shin Megami Tensei taken. And what I mean by that is you can see that it really was the love child of what SMT-if really wanted to do. And so, as we go through this game, you know, it is a dark game, for one. And it's certainly fun, though. The character development is interesting, but not too in-depth. You don't get social links or anything like that. But it doesn't really need all of that. It's a game that really is amassed on its Persona fusion, its gameplay elements, and what you can do with those fusions and those past creations, which you really don't see again, other than 1 and 2. You don't really see these options much until 5. And it's really sad because it plays such a strong role. Now, a lot of people like the card games and the different things that you do to get personas on your team in 3 and 4. I actually enjoy this style of negotiation. It's fun. You know, it can be annoying, but it's fun. And there's a little bit of tactics involved, and the ramifications are interesting. And you know, it adds a level of enjoyable demon building that you really get in a Mega 10 game. And so the reason I'm speaking about this is because I've done this before, and I'm sure you guys have heard it. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because this time around, I decided to play the game again. And I decided to follow the procedure to get into, to not do the SEBEC storyline, which is the regular storyline of this game, but to do the Snow Queen path. And so, typically, what that means is that there is a completely different story within one game that you don't even know about unless you do a number of tasks in order. That's what I think that's crazy. Pretty much from the onset of the game, you're put into a specific scenario. But then you have the option of, do I want to go through this, in a sense, world-setting fantasy, which takes place over the path of different areas of Tokyo, or do you want to go through the more typical school setting, something similar to If? In fact, I would say the Snow Queen quest is Shin Megami Tensei If's actual love child. Well, you need to have 2, I guess. You know what? It's its love replica. It's its love asexual offspring? Whatever. It is the version of SMT-if that I think everyone wanted. And I'm a big SMT-if fan because I like SMT more than I'm more of an SMT guy than I am a Persona guy. Let's say that. But this really gives me SMT-if in 3D. So you're basically going to be in the school, stuck in the school, which we haven't seen since If. And you're essentially going to be going through the school and different things that have evolved into the school, different towers and things like that, kind of reminiscent in a way, though it's long before, of SMT3 and SMT3. Sorry, Persona 3 FES or PSP with Tartarus, and I think that's pretty cool. I didn't expect something like this because I didn't really look for it or sought it out. I really thought the Snow Queen quest, my first time around, was the quest where Maki's friend with the mirror and the warts on her face, I thought that was part of the Snow Queen quest. I thought that was something to do with that. And come to find out, that has absolutely nothing to do with the Snow Queen quest when I decided to actually look into it more and decided to play this game again. I can't think of many Mega 10 games where from the onset of the game, the storyline is completely different. I think that's one of the coolest things in Mega 10 that I've ever heard of. A completely different branching storyline. I'm not taking credit away from Majin Tensei 2 and a few other games that give you a halfway through the game split. But this is, from the onset, you could play this game twice and not have done anything that you basically did the other time around, other than the introductory hospital to get it all started and kicked off. And I think that is unbelievably cool. I can't name too many games where that is the situation. And so, I have to say, I still really love everything that's encompassing in Persona PSP. This game did it right. I mean, short of the now somehow Persona 3-esque J-pop that we hear in the, first person roaming. Other than that, this game is on par with a real Mega 10 game and a real SMT game, I should say. I really have to say, I give this game a lot of credit. Now, here are the downfalls for most people with this game. Your battle system is a little slow. You pick the attacks ahead of time and watch them play out, which isn't really a Mega 10 thing anymore. Mega 10 is all about choosing your moves as they go. That's kind of where we went with Mega 10. However, you will find differing iterations of this. Differing iterations of this in different games, in different SMT and Mega 10 games as a whole. So I like what they did here. I enjoy this, and so your demons or persona, they rank, and ranking is kind of cool. I know you're saying, well, when they level up in the regular one, they get their levels increased, they get the new moves. Yeah, I get it. This is kind of where it started with the ranking system, and it put a limit on how much a demon was useful. And it also but you have inherent skills, improvement, and things like that. But yes, it puts an end to its finality. But it also gives you that option and timing to where you're like, you know what, I've had enough of you. Time to get a nice item that might be a requirement to get a top level persona down the line. Also, it encompasses weaknesses and things like that. But again, this is kind of like the original SMT games where weaknesses just strongly affect the attack, level, and strength. They don't really there's no press turn. You don't get extra turns. And of course, the press turn is one of my favorite pieces of the battle system in any Mega 10 game. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not a desired piece that I would have liked to have seen, because I certainly would have liked to have seen it. However, it just isn't the case in this time around. But I don't think that's a problem as much as I think it's just the way that it is at this point. So they hadn't thought of this press turn stuff yet. So it's a little different. But anyway, the gameplay is fun though. What you do, the way you level, the way you get personas, the way they increase, the way they have hidden abilities and things like that you typically don't see in other Persona games, that's a lot of fun. There's a lot more mystery and intrigue in these older formulaic games than you really get in the originals. The sequels. The sequels are a lot more in your face, and this has a lot more to it that you wouldn't expect, I suppose. Let me guess. So, as we're going on here, it's one of those situations where typically when you play this game, you're gonna first be like, I can't go back in the way it looks. I can't go backwards. But you're wrong, because you can. And really, it looks pretty nice for a PS1 game. You know, you really got to be careful on how you judge this game, because this is really a game that utilizes the PS1 to its fullest potential. You know, I will tell you that I am going to be making a video specific about how Persona really doesn't even feel necessarily like Persona at this point when it comes to certain aspects, considering I actually went through the storyline, and even in the beginning of the Snow Queen quest, it threw everything I thought about Persona out the window. And I'm going to get into that into another video when we go on a little bit more of a discussion-based format. And because I'm looking forward to telling you guys, this puts everything we know about Persona out the window, unless I'm overlooking something. But I do not recall anything like this in any Persona game that I've ever seen. And it made me question everything we know about Persona. So I'll be getting into that next time. And anyway, this is the third part of the three-fer. You know what? Depending on how soon I get this released, we might go for a four-fer. Four-fer. And four-fer sounds better. We might be going for a four-fer with that exact question that I actually asked the community. What is Persona? How it works? And boy, is this a confusing aspect of it. Because these particular lines of conversation throw everything that we think we know about Persona out the window. But anyway, this is Jay with the Douchebag Brigade, and I'll look forward to putting the fourth part of the four-fer down. All right, and I'm out.